put it under a lot of stress, i.e. strength training, and you feed it a lot of protein, which is coming from amino acids. Those two together are what build new muscles. So look at your abdominals. Of all the work that we're doing on your stomach, we're loading the tissue, the muscle's going to grow. When you get deeper into our performance program, I'm going to start having you use medicine balls and things that are heavier. You can maybe hold a dumbbell, and you can do a sit-up holding the dumbbell against your chest. A lot of people freak out because they're like, I don't want to have a bigger stomach, I want to have a smaller. Well, you have to remember, if you're watching this video, your goal is to be able to ride a motorcycle or a quad faster than anybody else. I never promised you I was going to give you a runway model body. What I'm promising you is I'll give you a body that it can go fast and it can go for a long period of time before getting tired. Now, I did warn you guys on the very first phone call, particularly you females, that your tush muscles are just that. They're muscles. We don't look at them as sexual objects. Okay? Your tush is two muscles. It's gluteus maximus and gluteus minimus. And as we develop those with box hops, jump ropes, stars, one-legged squats, side lunges, that muscle's going to sprout because you're putting it under load. I warned you in the very first conference call that if you wear low-cut jeans or shorts, you may have to size up. Don't look at that as a negative thing. Look at it that you're building the muscles that are necessary for proper position on the track. One of the biggest things that we see with the riding coaches when we get assessments with riders is the riding coaches will say the athlete, or the rider rather, understands the proper body position, but he or she can't get there, lack of flexibility, or two, can get there but they can't stay there, lack of muscular strength and endurance. So that's why we're doing so much with the core, the quads, and the glutes, because that's the feedback that we get from the riding coaches, is that the riders can't get there and they can't stay there. Now, with that, it's outside the scope of this conversation tonight, but what I want you to realize is every exercise that we subject you to has a direct translation to faster times on the track. I'll give you a real brief example, a jump rope. For those of you that are looking to get faster transitions off the start, you don't even realize it, but every time that jump rope goes past your eyes, your feet have already been off the ground for at least a millisecond. If you don't get the timing correct, you hang your feet up. That's an eye-hand coordination. A lot of people don't realize that jump rope will improve your reaction time to the start. Whether you look straight at the gate or you're looking to the side, when you see that pin pull and you see that gate starting to drop, I want you in a forward motion. That's what we call a start transition. Most people will sit there and they'll tell the riders, you need to improve your starting technique. You guys have your technique dialed. You've spent hours with your riding coaches. What our responsibility as your human performance coaches are, making sure that you develop the neuromuscular pathways to have quick reaction time to get off the gate. That's why we do jump rope. Okay? One of the reasons why we have you do numerous exercises on one leg is I'm trying to maintain the balance on the pegs for even distribution on the bike. Think about it. If you're right leg dominant, what ends up happening is every time you go off the jump, the bike goes off to the right. The quad tends to go to the right. It's because you're putting more pressure on the right leg. That's why we had you take your body measurements on the left and the right side. If you've had unfortunately, if you've had a broken leg and you have atrophy in your left leg, historically the left leg is going to be smaller in diameter, which means less power on the left leg, which means the right leg does all the work and it over-dominates, and then it changes your balance on the motorcycle or the quad. Now, most people won't think that through. They say, well, I'm strong. Well, you're going to be strong on one side. That's why we have you doing everything individual. That's why I want you doing two-legged squats, one-legged squats, not on a ram rack pushing, because the dominant leg is going to do all the work. That's why we have you doing individual dumbbells. More than likely, you have one side that's more dominant and stronger than the other. So the thing that we're trying to get across here is we're looking for quality of sleep as it relates to your food. I want you to make sure that your energy levels and your mental clarity are improving. Obviously, we want to see an improvement in your performance, and we want to see the body composition go down in regards to body fat. Now, I'm going to let the cat out of the bag a little bit. The measurement of your wrist, believe it or not, is one of our biggest indicators of body fat composition. Okay? If this offends you, please speak up here, or feel free to email me, call me offline. I'll be more than happy to discuss this with you. like I said, the stomach muscle is just that, it's a muscle. Unfortunately, when you get into the wrist area, that's just a fat deposit area. There's no muscular workout that we can do that's going to make, quote unquote, your wrist toned. Abdominals, chest, just like I said about your biceps, those are muscles and those can grow and get strong. So we expect your abdominal measurement number to go up. We also expect your hip numbers to go up. And I know for some of you that may want to be getting smaller legs, don't misunderstand the information. As you build muscle, they're going to grow a little bit. What we want to look at is stuff like we call the pinch test. Okay? If I grab the side of my stomach, okay, and then I lean towards away from that side, what my rule of thumb is whatever you have in your fingertips after you bend to the side, that's what you have left in body fat. Now you can go out and buy the expensive calipers and you can pinch them, or you can go to your gym and they've got the calipers. But do your own pinch test in the mirror. So for example, I'd grab my lower abdominal, okay, and then I bend backwards. Whatever I have left when I bend back, that's how I know how much fat I have left to burn. And don't be offended if you've got 4 inches that you're grabbing at your belly button. The idea is we're having these conversations to get rid of it. I had a real good conversation with a rider from Australia today, and he was invited to come do some what they call clinical studies. And what they did was they ran him through a VO2 max, and they were impressed that his VO2 max numbers were so big. The thing that I want you to understand is, from a body composition standpoint, the quickest way to improve your VO2 max, which is just an acronym for volume of oxygen uptake, that's what V is volume, O2 is oxygen, okay? The formula for VO2, one of the variables that you factor into the formulation is percentage of body fat. You want to improve your VO2 max? Decrease your body percentage of body fat. It's that simple. Instead of bogging you guys down with a lot of calipers and a lot of measurements that really have no interpretation, what we want you to understand is the leaner you are and the more lean muscle tissue you have, your strength to weight ratios are going to start to improve. Why? Because you're building more muscle, which means you can put out more power. You're burning your body fat, which means you have less weight to lift with a star, a box hop, static wall squats, pike position, etc. And then what you're able to do is you're able to see your body fat as it relates to performance is, as you get lighter, it's actually improving your performance. Now when we go to the track, you're going to notice that you corner quicker. Your timing off the gate is going to be quicker because there's less dead weight that you're moving forward at all times. It's just the law of inertia. Okay? But what I want you guys to be thinking about is you're now 4 weeks into the program. You have a pretty good idea of how and what we're looking for. We're looking for more muscle. We're looking for consistent energy. We want to see high quality sleep for long periods of time. And when those start to fall in place, you're on your path to performance and wellness. And the beautiful part about it is you're doing it in an all healthy, all natural way. You'll notice that we have not encouraged you to do anything except shop the perimeter of your grocery store for fresh fruits, fresh vegetables, lean protein sources, and dairy. On the dairy side of things, we're obviously looking for organic to avoid a lot of the bovine hormones. And I have received some emails from some of you that vehemently disagree with me on that, and that's okay. Keep dairy out of your program if you don't believe it's helpful. There's a lot of schools of thought, there's a lot of clinical studies floating around. I happen to be on the side of dairy as long as it's organic to avoid the insecticides, the pesticides, and the bovine hormones. I do agree that those are bad. I want you to keep them out of your diet, and organic's the only way you can do that. I know it's expensive and the availability is an issue at times, but again, you're going to have to choose your battles in that regards. Is there any questions about body composition and nutrition and hydration as it relates to performance at this point? All right. The last step that I want you to do with your food logs is I want you to go through... Yes, go ahead.
Dr. Rob, this is Karen. Hey, what is your thought on like milk or Gatorade, those kind of things, Powerade, that stuff?
Okay, just to clarify, are you talking about the sports drinks for energy and electrolyte replacement, or as part of your meals?
No, electrolyte replacement, like at a race, after a race.
Yep. I'm a big fan of sports drinks as a whole. Okay, sports drinks are absolutely imperative for two reasons. One, after about an hour's worth of exercise, you no longer have enough stored sugar in your liver and your muscles. So sports drinks are absolutely imperative for your performance on race day. What you have to look at, and you have to be very careful, is, and I want everybody to write this down and become students of this, you want to have a carbohydrate drink that has a 6% concentration level. And guys and Karen, it's a great question. You do not want to be taking anything that has a higher than 6% concentration rate, because if you do, you're not going to absorb the electrolytes in the water. If you have anything less than 6%, what happens is you don't get enough, and you don't absorb on the other end of the spectrum. It's literally it's a 1% margin. 5 to 6% is your sweet spot. They have determined that 6% is optimum. All right. Now the only reason why I'm so adamant about that is we're a little over 2 years development on our energy drink, and we have our food scientists producing an energy drink that's exactly a 6% concentration rate. So if you don't have that 6% concentration rate, what ends up happening is your body's not going to absorb it. Now, the one thing that I want to get across is there's a lot of information floating around in regards to sports drinks and their sugar content. Okay? I want you to understand that excessive sugar will cause diarrhea and it will cause cramping in your stomach. The thing that we run into with a lot of the what we call mainstream sports drinks is the sugar content is so high because they want to make it a mass appeal product that they position it as a sports drink, and then they kind of divert away from the purpose of the drink. To answer your question directly, Karen, sports drinks are absolutely imperative, but you need to make sure that it's the right concentration. And the second variable that you want to take into consideration is you're looking for something that yields between 75 and 100 calories per serving.